The raid. The sky above Varus 9 burned red as alien ships descended like hungry predators. The colony, once a peaceful home to hundreds of humans, shook with explosions. Sirens wailed, but they were quickly drowned out by the terrifying roar of the Krith marauders, a ruthless band of alien criminals feared across the galaxy. Captain Lisa Carter stood on top of the colony's command center, gripping her pulse rifle. Her sharp blue eyes scanned the chaos below. People screamed, running in all directions. Buildings crumbled under the Krith's heavy artillery. Lisa's radio crackled. "Captain, we're being overrun. Defenses are failing." It was Lieutenant Ramos, her second in command. Lisa gritted her teeth. She had fought in wars before, but this was different. This wasn't a battlefield. It was a slaughter. She pressed the comm button. "Hold the south gate as long as you can. Evacuate civilians through the tunnels." But deep inside, she knew the truth. There would be no escape. The Krith had come to take everything. The attack begins. From the sky, massive dropships landed with a ground-shaking thud. The Krith poured out, their tall, muscular forms covered in black armor. Their glowing red eyes searched for weak prey. Their sharp, curved weapons dripped with energy, blades designed to burn through human flesh. Lisa fired first. A blue energy pulse shot from her rifle, hitting a Krith square in the chest. The alien staggered but didn't fall. "Damn it," she muttered. "Their armor is too strong." A Krith warrior lunged at her, swinging his burning blade. Lisa dodged, rolled, and fired again, this time at his exposed neck. The alien let out a gurgling screech before collapsing. For a moment, Lisa felt hope. Maybe they could fight back. Maybe they could win. Then the warship arrived. A massive black Krith mothership hovered over the colony, blocking out the sky. The ground rumbled as it fired its main cannon. The single deafening blast of red energy erased an entire city block. The colony's defenses collapsed in an instant. Lisa's stomach twisted. They never had a chance. No mercy. The Krith moved through the colony like a storm. They ripped open doors, dragged humans from their homes, and shoved them into cages. A little girl cried, clutching her mother's hand. A Krith grabbed the mother and tore them apart. Lisa fired at the alien, but she was too far away. She watched, helpless, as the mother disappeared into a prison transport. Her rage burned hotter than the fires around her. She ran toward the command bunker, where the last of her soldiers were making a stand. The doors slammed shut behind her as she entered. Inside, a dozen exhausted fighters looked up. "What's the plan, Captain?" Ramos asked, his face covered in sweat and dust. Lisa opened her mouth to speak, but before she could, the roof exploded. A Krith shock trooper dropped in through the smoke. Then another. Then 10 more. Gunfire filled the bunker. Humans fought desperately, but the Krith were too strong, too fast. One by one, her soldiers fell. Lisa shot, dodged, and fought, but something struck her from behind. A massive Krith warrior grabbed her by the neck and lifted her off the ground. She struggled, kicking, clawing, but the alien's grip was unbreakable. Varkos, the Krith warlord, stepped forward. His armor was heavier, his presence deadly. He looked at Lisa like she was nothing. "You humans, so weak," he growled. "You should have surrendered." Lisa spat blood and glared at him. "Go to hell." Varkos chuckled. "You first." He motioned to his soldier. The Krith holding Lisa tightened his grip. Her vision blurred, her lungs screamed for air. Then, suddenly, everything went dark. Left for dead. Lisa woke up hours later. Her head throbbed. Her body ached. The air smelled of smoke and blood. She tried to move. Pain shot through her ribs. Broken. She forced herself to sit up. Silence. The Krith were gone. The colony was nothing but ashes. Lisa crawled forward, gasping for air. Around her, bodies lay scattered. Some human, some Krith. But she was alive. She looked up at the sky. The Kraith warship was leaving, taking her people, her friends, everything. Her fists clenched. They thought she was dead. They thought they won. But they made one big mistake. They left her alive. And she was going to make them pay, survive, and plan. Lisa Carter lay on the cold ground, her body aching with every breath. Smoke drifted through the air, mixing with the metallic scent of blood. The Kraith were gone. The colony was gone. For a long moment, she just breathed, her mind caught between pain and anger. Then, slowly, she pushed herself up. Her ribs screamed in protest, but she gritted her teeth. Weakness wasn't an option. Survival was the only choice. The sun of Varus 9 hung low on the horizon, casting long shadows over the ruins of what was once her home. Buildings were nothing but burned-out husks. Vehicles lay overturned, some still smoldering. The air was thick with death. Lisa took a deep breath, one step at a time. Her first priority was finding water, food, and shelter. The Kraith had wiped out everything, but maybe, just maybe, there was something left. A world of ghosts. She moved through the rubble like a phantom, scanning for anything useful. A half-buried storage crate caught her eye. She dug through the debris, her fingers bleeding as she pulled it free. Inside, she found a ration pack and a half-full canteen. Not much, but enough to keep her going. She drank slowly, feeling the cool water wash away the dryness in her throat. Then she heard something. A low, mechanical hum in the distance. Lisa froze, pressing herself against a broken wall. She peered around the edge. A small Kraith drone hovered over the wreckage, its red eye scanning for movement. They're still watching. She gripped the handle of her knife. Her rifle was gone, taken by the Kraith, but she could still fight. She had to. The drone drifted closer. Lisa waited. Closer. Just a little more. Then she lunged, slamming her knife into the drone's core. Sparks exploded as it jerked violently, spinning in the air before crashing to the ground. Lisa knelt beside it, ripping open a panel. Kraith tech was advanced, but she had seen enough of it in battle to understand the basics. She yanked out a small energy cell, tucking it into her pocket. It might be useful later. The drone's destruction meant one thing. The Kraith would know someone was still alive. She had to move. The signal. As night fell, Lisa found shelter inside an old storage bunker. It had been damaged, but the walls still held. It was safe, for now. She sat against the wall, her mind racing. The Kraith had taken the colony's survivors. But where? She pulled out the energy cell she took from the drone. If she could rig it to a comm device, maybe she could send a signal. Maybe someone out there was listening. She rummaged through the storage crates, searching for anything useful. Then she found it, an old emergency comm unit, covered in dust. Her hands moved quickly, rewiring the broken device. Sparks flew, but finally, the screen flickered to life. A faint signal pulsed on the screen. Lisa's heart pounded. Someone else was out there. She adjusted the frequency, speaking into the transmitter. "This is Captain Lisa Carter. If anyone can hear me, respond." Silence. Then, static. A garbled voice broke through. "Lisa, this, Ramos." Lisa's breath caught. Lieutenant Ramos was alive. The underground survivors. The signal was weak, but she followed it. For hours, she moved through the ruins, avoiding patrol drones. Finally, she reached a half-collapsed underground utility station. She knocked 3 times, then once more. A pause. Then, slowly, a hidden door creaked open. Inside, she saw faces she thought she'd never see again. Ramos stood among a dozen survivors, engineers, doctors, soldiers, all battered but alive. "Captain," Ramos breathed, eyes wide with disbelief. "We thought you were dead." Lisa stepped inside, scanning the desperate faces. These people were the last of the colony. "We're not dead yet," she said, "but we will be if we don't fight." The plan. The underground hideout had scrap weapons, old comm gear, and just enough supplies to survive a few days. Lisa gathered the group. The Krith think they've won. But we're still here. And that means we have a chance. One of the engineers, a man named Jonas, shook his head. What chance? They have warships. We have sticks. Lisa narrowed her eyes. We have something stronger than weapons. She tapped her temple. We have brains. And if there's one thing humans do better than any species in this galaxy, it's adapt. She turned to Ramos. How many do we have? 23, he said, and a few scattered survivors hiding in the ruins. Lisa nodded. Then we start small. We hit them where it hurts. We steal weapons. We sabotage their supply lines. We take their tech and use it against them. She turned to the group. They left us to die. But they made a mistake. Lisa picked up a rusted blade from the ground, gripping it tight. They think humans are weak. She smiled, dark and determined. Let's show them how wrong they are. The underground resistance. Darkness clung to the ruins of Varus 9, broken only by the occasional flicker of fire from the wreckage above. The Krith had turned the once thriving colony into a graveyard, but deep beneath the rubble, human defiance still burned. Lisa Carter stood in the dimly lit bunker, her eyes scanning the survivors gathered around a crude table made from scrap metal. The group was small, 23 souls, but she knew they were more than just survivors. They were soldiers now. She took a deep breath and faced them. The Krith think we're finished, she said, her voice steady. They took our people. They took our homes. But they didn't take everything. Lisa slammed a knife into the table. They didn't take our fight. A murmur ran through the group. Some nodded. Others still looked afraid. Fear was natural, but fear could be controlled. She gestured to Ramos, who unrolled a makeshift map of the colony ruins and the surrounding Krith-controlled areas. We have one goal, Lisa continued. Survive. Fight. Take back what's ours. The first mission. Weapons or death. Lisa pointed at a location marked with an X, a ruined supply outpost about 5 miles north. Krith patrols move through here every night, she explained. They drop supplies. Food, fuel, ammo. If we take it, we stand a chance. Jonas, the engineer, shook his head. And if we fail? Lisa's expression hardened. Then we die. But at least we die fighting. Silence. Then a voice from the back. Nia, a medic. I'm in. One by one, the others nodded. Lisa smiled. Good. Gear up. We move at nightfall. The hunt begins. The ruins of Varus 9 were a maze of shadows, perfect for an ambush. Lisa and her team moved like ghosts, their bodies low to the ground, weapons stolen from the dead. In the distance, they saw the glow of Krith floodlights. Lisa raised a fist. The team stopped. She motioned to Ramos. Take the left flank. Ramos and 3 others disappeared into the darkness. Lisa moved forward, her heart pounding. Ahead, 2 Krith soldiers stood guard, speaking in their guttural language. Their weapons, plasma rifles, hung at their sides. Lisa crouched low, waiting for the signal. Then, a whistle. Ramos had flanked them. Lisa sprang forward, knife in hand. She slashed the first Krith's throat. His gurgled scream cut short. Ramos tackled the second, stabbing his blade into the alien's side. The bodies dropped before an alarm could be raised. Lisa grabbed one of the plasma rifles, turning to the team. Weapons secured. Move in. Ambush turns to war. The humans moved swiftly, taking down the rest of the Krith guards. Jonas hacked into the supply crate's locks. The doors hissed open. Inside, plasma grenades, armor plates, and enough rifles to arm an army. Lisa grinned. Jackpot. Then, a distant roar. Her stomach twisted. Krith reinforcements. Move-y, she shouted. The team grabbed what they could and ran. Behind them, the ground exploded as enemy fire rained down. Lisa ducked behind cover, raising her stolen plasma rifle. She took a deep breath and fired. A Krith screeched as her shot hit its mark. The others returned fire, the night erupting into chaos. One of her fighters, Jace, was hit. Lisa dragged him behind cover, his face pale. "Go," he choked. "Leave me." Lisa refused. She lifted Jace onto her shoulder, ignoring the pain in her ribs. Nobody gets left behind. Escape and triumph. Through smoke and gunfire, the team retreated into the ruins, using the darkness as cover. The Krith pursued them until they hit the traps. Earlier that day, Lisa had set tripwires along their escape path. As the Krith ran in, explosions tore through the ruins, collapsing buildings onto them. The earth trembled, Krith screams swallowed by the dust. Lisa and her team vanished into the tunnels, their stolen weapons clutched tight. The turning point. Back at the bunker, the mood had changed. They weren't just survivors anymore. They were fighters. Lisa placed a plasma rifle on the table. "We hit them once," she said. "We can do it again." "Nia," the medic, grinned. "So what's next?" Lisa leaned forward, eyes burning with determination. "We take everything back." The first strike. The underground bunker buzzed with quiet energy. The once frightened survivors of Varus 9 were no longer just hiding. They were planning. They were fighting. Lisa Carter stood at the center of it all, leaning over a hand-drawn map of the Kraith-controlled colony ruins. The stolen plasma rifle lay beside her, a symbol of their first victory. But tonight was different. Tonight, they weren't just stealing supplies. Tonight, they were sending a message, choosing the target. Jonas, the engineer, tapped a spot on the map. This is their communications hub. It's how they coordinate patrols, call for reinforcements. If we take it out, they go blind, at least for a while. Ramos nodded. It won't stop them, but it'll slow them down. Lisa studied the map. Strategically, it was risky. The hub was well guarded, with drones and sentries watching every angle. But if they could take it, the Krith wouldn't see their next attacks coming. She turned to the group. "We go in silent. Sabotage the systems. Make it look like an accident. If we're caught, we won't get a second chance." No one hesitated. The humans were ready for war. Approaching the beast. The night was thick with smoke and ash, remnants of the Krith's destruction. Lisa and her team moved like shadows, blending into the ruins. Every footstep was careful, every breath controlled. Ahead, the communications tower loomed, a steel fortress with glowing red lights, tall, sharp, alien. Two Krith guards stood outside, speaking in their harsh, guttural tongue. A drone hovered above them, scanning the ruins. Lisa pressed against a broken wall. "Jonas, take the drone. Nia, you're on the guards." Jonas crept forward, holding a small EMP device scavenged from Krith tech. With a flick of his wrist, he threw it. The drone flickered, then dropped from the sky like a dead bird. At the same time, Nia and Ramos moved in. Two quick blades, two silent deaths. Lisa gave a sharp nod. "Move in." Inside the enemy's heart, the team slipped through the back entrance, taking the lower corridors. The air smelled of burning metal and static electricity, the hum of advanced alien technology. Lisa motioned to Jonas. "You're up." Jonas hacked into the main console, his fingers flying over the alien controls. "Almost there," he muttered. The lights overhead flickered. Screens glitched. Lisa watched as the system collapsed from within. Krith data files wiped. Encryption broken. Their communications severed. Then, alarms blared. Jonas's eyes went wide. They know we're here. The battle erupts. Lisa grabbed her plasma rifle as the doors slammed open. A Krith shock trooper stormed in, towering over them, its massive blade glowing red-hot. Lisa fired first, her plasma bolt slamming into its chest. The Krith staggered but didn't fall. It lunged. Lisa barely dodged as the blade sliced through metal where she'd been standing. Ramos opened fire, his shots hitting the Krith in the neck, burning through armor. The alien screeched before dropping to the floor. More footsteps. Reinforcements. Lisa threw a grenade, the explosion shaking the walls. "Move now," she yelled. A desperate escape. The team raced through the corridors, dodging enemy fire. Jonas shouted, "I set a data virus. It'll keep them blind for days." Lisa grinned. "Then let's get out before they kill us." They burst outside, only to see a Krith warship hovering above. Lisa's heart pounded. They needed a way out. Fast. Then she spotted it. A Krith hovercraft, parked nearby. She turned to Ramos. "Can you fly that?" He smirked. "I can fly anything." They sprinted toward the vehicle, dodging plasma fire. Ramos hacked the controls, the doors sliding open. Lisa covered the team, blasting Krith soldiers as they ran aboard. Go! Go! The engines roared to life. The hovercraft lurched upward, shaking as Ramos took control. Lisa looked down, watching the communications hub explode in a burst of white fire. Victory and warning. As the hovercraft disappeared into the night, Lisa took a deep breath. They had won. Again. But it wasn't over. The Krith weren't just losing battles, they were losing control. Lisa turned to her team. "Next time, we don't run. Next time, we take the fight straight to them." The humans weren't prey anymore. They were hunters. War begins. The Krith warship loomed over the ruins of Varus 9, its engines humming with a deep mechanical growl. The air smelled of burning metal, the ground still scorched from their last attack. Inside the Krith command center, Warlord Varkos stood before a massive screen, watching the destruction of their communications hub over and over. Humans did this, a race the Krith considered weak, inferior. Varkos' red eyes narrowed as he turned to his officers. "Find them. Kill them all." The Krith had come to enslave a colony. Now, they were at war. The Resistance's next move, deep underground, in the hidden bunker, Lisa Carter and her fighters stood over a stolen Krith tactical map. The last raid had crippled the enemy's communications, but they had to hit harder. "We can't just slow them down," Lisa said. "We need to break them." Jonas, the engineer, tapped the map. "Their fuel depot is here. If we blow it up, they lose transport. No more ships, no more patrols." Ramos folded his arms. "That's a suicide mission." Lisa's eyes burned with determination. "Not if we do it right." The infiltration begins. The fuel depot was a fortress. Dozens of guards, watchtowers, and drones scanning the perimeter. A direct attack would be suicide. So Lisa had another plan. "We steal a Krith transport, disguise ourselves," she said. "We get inside, set explosives, walk out like ghosts." Her team exchanged glances. It was insane. But they were running out of time. Ramos smirked. "Hell, why not?" Stealing the enemy's skin. Night fell over the charred ruins as Lisa and her team ambushed a Krith supply convoy. Quick, silent, brutal. Lisa yanked the helmet off a dying Krith warrior, pulling the heavy armor over her human body. The fit was rough, but it would work. One by one, her team suited up. Hiding inside the stolen transport, they drove straight toward the fuel depot. Inside the lion's den, Lisa's heart pounded as they rolled through the gates of the Krith stronghold. Guards barely glanced at them. The stolen identification codes worked. Inside, massive fuel tanks lined the depot, giant, pulsing containers of Krith starship fuel. One spark, and the whole base would be reduced to dust. Lisa gave the signal. "Plant the charges." Jonas and Nia slipped away, attaching explosives to the main pipelines. A 10-minute countdown started. Everything was going too smoothly. Then, the alarms blared. The Krith's counterattack. A deep, guttural voice boomed over the loudspeakers. "Humans, DTECTE." Lisa cursed. They saw through the disguises. Move. Krith soldiers poured in from all directions, weapons raised. Lisa fired first. Her plasma rifle burned through an enemy's chest. The fight was on. Explosions rocked the depot as bullets and plasma bolts ripped through the air. Jonas shouted, 30 seconds until detonation. Lisa's team sprinted toward the exit, dodging enemy fire. Behind them, the fuel tanks rumbled, seconds from obliteration. Lisa turned back, seeing Ramos pinned behind a console, outnumbered. She didn't hesitate. She ran toward him, gunning down 2 Krith warriors. "Get up! Move!" she screamed, pulling Ramos to his feet. They sprinted through the chaos as the final explosion detonated. The firestorm. A deafening boom shattered the night. The fuel depot erupted in flames, the shockwave hurling Lisa and her team forward. The entire Krith stronghold collapsed in a firestorm, sending burning wreckage into the sky. Lisa hit the ground hard, rolling into the dirt. Her ears rang. Her body ached, but she was alive. She turned her head. The base was gone. And so was the Krith's advantage. The war has truly begun. Lisa sat up, watching the distant Krith warship hover uncertainly. They weren't hunting humans anymore. They were losing to them. She looked at her fighters, faces covered in dust and blood, but smiling. They had won. But the war wasn't over. Lisa stood, gripping her rifle. "We hit them again." Jonas coughed, wiping blood from his mouth. "Give us 5 minutes, at least." Lisa smirked. 5 minutes. Then we bring them hell. Infiltration. The ruins of Varus 9 were no longer just a battleground. They were a graveyard for Krith arrogance. The once unstoppable alien conquerors were now on the defensive, licking their wounds after the destruction of their fuel depot. But Lisa Carter wasn't done. Sitting in the underground bunker, she stared at the holographic map of the Krith slave outpost, a fortified prison where they had taken the captured humans from her colony. "This is where they are," Lisa said, voice firm. "Our people, our families. It's time to bring them home." Her fighters, battered but determined, gathered around the table. The mission ahead was the most dangerous yet. No stealing supplies. No sabotage. This time, they were breaking into the heart of enemy territory. The plan: ghosts in the dark. Jonas tapped the map, his voice steady. "The outpost is inside a mountain range. Natural defenses. Only one way in." Ramos folded his arms. "Heavy turrets. Guard towers. Patrols. We charge in. We die before we reach the walls." Lisa nodded. "Then we don't charge in. We go in silent." She pointed to a waste transport route leading underground. The Krith used these tunnels to dispose of. She paused, jaw tightening. Dead prisoners. The room fell silent. Jonas exhaled. "You're saying we sneak in as bodies?" Lisa's expression didn't change. "We sneak in as ghosts." The underground descent. They found the waste transport tunnel near the outskirts of the outpost. The air reeked of decay. The tunnel was a narrow, metallic chute, barely wide enough for a human. It led straight into the depths of the Krith prison complex. Lisa and her team stripped off their weapons, concealed explosives under tattered prisoner clothes, and slid into the darkness. The metal walls were slick and freezing, the stench of death overpowering. Lisa gritted her teeth, her body twisting as the tunnel sloped sharply downward. Then, a drop. She landed hard, rolling onto a pile of corpses. Human corpses. Her stomach churned, but she forced herself to stay focused. This was the reality of what the Krith had done, what they always did. She whispered into her hidden earpiece, "Everyone in." One by one, her team confirmed. Now came the hard part. Inside the Krith slave prison, Lisa peeked through a crack in the rusted transport doors. A Krith guard stood outside, scanning the disposal room, his plasma rifle resting lazily at his side. Lisa counted 3, 2, 1. The moment he turned, she lunged. Her knife plunged into his throat, his alien blood spraying against the metal walls. She caught his body before it hit the ground, lowering it silently. One enemy down, hundreds more to go. Lisa gestured to the others. Move. The prisoner's plight. The prison smelled of blood, oil, and despair. Hallways stretched into the dark, lined with steel cages stacked on top of each other. Inside them, humans. Some were starving, their eyes hollow. Others were injured, their bodies covered in bruises from Krith beatings. A child sat curled in a corner, whispering to herself. Lisa's fists tightened. She motioned to Nia. Get the locks open. Nia knelt before the control panel, working fast. One wrong move, and alarms would go off. Lisa turned to the nearest prisoner, a man, his face gaunt but eyes still burning with life. Can you fight? She asked. The man nodded. Lisa handed him the guard's stolen plasma rifle. Then fight. The escape turns to revolution. The locks clicked open. One by one, the prisoners stepped out, confused but ready. Then, the sirens blared. NTRUDE or as DTECTED. Lisa spun, aiming her plasma rifle as Krith soldiers stormed in from both sides. A firefight erupted. Lisa dove for cover, blasting down an enemy before he could aim. Prisoners grabbed weapons off dead guards, their rage exploding into action. They weren't just escaping anymore. They were fighting back. Lisa versus the warden. The prison warden, a massive Krith captain, stomped into the battle, his armor glowing with reinforced shielding. His deep, growling voice boomed over the chaos. You insects dare to resist. Lisa's jaw clenched. She charged. The warden swung his massive fist, but Lisa ducked, rolling beneath his arm. She slashed at his exposed side, her blade sparking against his armor. The Krith grabbed her by the throat, lifting her off the ground. Lisa gasped for air, her vision blurring. Then, Ramos fired. A plasma shot burned through the warden's knee, forcing him to drop Lisa. She hit the ground, coughing, then grabbed a stolen energy grenade from her belt. She activated it, jamming it straight into the warden's armor. Boom! The Krith's chest erupted in fire, his body slamming into the prison wall. Lisa rose to her feet, breath ragged. That's for my people. Victory and a new war. The prison was burning. The humans were free. Lisa stood in the middle of the battlefield, surrounded by her fighters and the freed prisoners. The Krith outpost was in ruins. The aliens had lost control, but she knew the war was just beginning. Lisa looked at the crowd of new warriors, once prisoners, now soldiers. We are not running anymore, she said. She pointed to the skies above, where the Krith warships still loomed. Next, we take the fight to them. A roar of defiance filled the burning prison. The resistance wasn't just a handful of survivors anymore. They were an army, and they were coming for revenge. The final battle. The night sky over Varus 9 burned with fire and vengeance. What had once been a peaceful human colony was now a war zone. The ruins, once silent under the grip of Krith rule, now echoed with the battle cries of humanity. Lisa Carter stood on a rocky ridge, gripping her plasma rifle, her eyes locked on the Krith warship looming in the sky. It was the last stronghold, the final piece of Krith control over this planet. And tonight, it would fall. The army of the forgotten. Behind Lisa, hundreds of freed prisoners stood ready. They were no longer broken, no longer afraid. They were warriors now. Nia tightened the straps on her stolen Krith armor. Can't believe we made it this far. Lisa smirked. Believe it, because we're about to finish this. Ramos knelt beside a stolen anti-air cannon, its barrel aimed toward the warship above. We take out their last ship. We take out their last hope. Lisa turned to the gathered fighters. The Krith thought they could take everything from us. But they made a mistake. They left us alive. She raised her rifle. They wanted to make us slaves. Her voice boomed across the battlefield. Then let's make them afraid." The army roared in response. The sky burns. The first Krith dropships descended, their engines roaring. Heavy cannons on the warship fired, lighting up the battlefield with blazing red plasma bolts. Lisa dived for cover as explosions ripped through the rocky terrain. "Return fire," she shouted. Ramos swung the anti-air cannon toward the sky. With a deafening boom, a blast of blue energy tore through a Krith gunship, sending it spiraling into the cliffs. Lisa's team spread out, dodging enemy fire. The ground forces clashed, humans using stolen weapons, homemade explosives, and sheer determination against the heavily armored Krith warriors. Jonas lobbed a grenade, sending a squad of Krith flying backward. Nia drove a stolen Krith hoverbike straight through enemy lines, firing twin plasma guns as she went. Lisa fought like a storm, cutting through the enemy with precision and fury. But then, the warship's main cannon powered up. Lisa's blood ran cold. If that cannon fired, the entire battlefield would be wiped out. The suicide mission. Lisa grabbed her comm unit. "Ramos, can you get a shot on that cannon?" "Not from here. The shields are too strong." Lisa made a choice. A reckless, impossible choice. "I'm taking a team up there." Jonas turned to her. "Are you insane?" "That thing is." Lisa cut him off. "That thing will kill us all if we don't stop it." She grabbed a jetpack harness from a fallen Krith soldier, strapping it onto her back. "You coming?" she asked. Jonas sighed, then grinned. "Hell yeah." Boarding the warship, Lisa, Jonas, and 3 others blasted into the sky, dodging enemy fire as they soared toward the warship. The wind ripped at her face. Her grip on the plasma rifle tightened. They landed hard on the metal hull, rolling as they hit the surface. Immediately, Krith warriors swarmed them, weapons drawn. Lisa fought with everything she had. Close combat, fast and brutal. She ducked under a Krith blade, slamming her rifle into an enemy's head. Jonas covered her flank, hacking into the ship's systems, shutting down security turrets. They pushed forward, racing toward the control room. The final confrontation. Inside the warship's bridge, Warlord Varkos stood waiting. Lisa raised her rifle. "It's over." Varkos laughed. "You think killing me will change anything? You think humans are strong?" Lisa stepped forward. "I think you're afraid." Varkos roared, charging at her. Lisa dodged, barely escaping his massive blade. The fight was brutal. Blow for blow, strike for strike. Lisa was faster. Varkos was stronger. He slammed her into a wall, his claws wrapping around her throat. "You are nothing," he snarled. Lisa gritted her teeth. Her hand slipped into her belt. And then she pulled the grenade pin. "You're right," she whispered. "But I don't need to win. I just need to take you with me." She jammed the grenade into his armor. Varkos' eyes widened in horror. Lisa kicked him backward, just as the grenade detonated. Boom! Varkos' body erupted in fire. Lisa staggered back, coughing. The bridge shook violently. Jonas's voice crackled through the comms. "We overloaded the reactor. We need to go. Now. Escape and victory." Lisa sprinted toward the exit, her heart pounding. She reached the edge of the ship, strapping into her jetpack. She jumped. The warship exploded behind her. Lisa plummeted toward the battlefield, the shockwave blasting across the land. She crashed onto the ground, rolling hard, but alive. She looked up. The Krith warship was gone. The battlefield was silent. And then, cheers erupted. Humans, once prisoners, now warriors, roared in victory. The Krith were defeated. Varys 9 was free. The war isn't over. Lisa stood among the survivors, watching the smoke rise from the battlefield. She wasn't naive. More Krith would come. But now? Now, they knew the truth. Humans don't break. Humans fight. And if the Krith ever returned, Lisa knew exactly what would happen. She smiled. Let them come.